out of the chat every time I try to connect to you.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm on now. So,
Yeah,
how have you guys been?
Not bad. I've just been getting busy at work now. It's coming into Christmas time.
That usually happens this time of year. At least you don't have people. At least in your place, you hopefully won't see grown people, grown adults, fighting over either Brussels sprouts or the last turkey.
That's not going to happen. We don't sell food.
I'm saying, at least you're not going to see that. That's what I'm trying to say. That's what I said. At least you're not going to see that in a clothing shop. Instead, it's probably going to be two really sexy girls, hopefully fighting over some lingerie that they want to really impress that hot guy that they met once in a bar. That's usually how it works in this day and age.
Isn't it normally the guy though trying to impress the really attractive woman in the bar?
No, yeah.
Usually, but in this day and age, women just go for it straight out. They don't, they don't hold back nowadays. Whenever they see a guy and they think, "Oh, I like him," she goes for it, which she's every right to do so if she wants to. Yeah, because I'm not going to be one of those people.
Well, to be honest, I've just had a takeaway. While we're trying to sort out all this drama with linking YouTube and that, I was having a takeaway, and I went home to get the money, and I walked past the pub that I live just down from, and this blondie saw me, and she went, "Oh, hello, babe." Unfortunately, I had to get home, so.
Yeah, you got to be careful. Though. You don't know whether she might have been trying to pick you up for other reasons. Because usually when usually when a random woman says "Hiya, babe," usually means something else, mate. You know, and it's not necessarily legal. Well, it is legal, but it depends where you go. And it also depends you don't pick her up in a car because that's called cab crawling. So yeah.
Yeah, it's really weird. Although you got the British laws on that side of things, it's so weird.
Yeah, because apparently you've got a funny story here. My cousin, you met him, my cousin Christian, Sam. This was all years ago. This was probably 5 years ago, maybe now. I don't know, give or take. But anyway, so he went into town to pick up his sister, which is one of my other cousins, from town. So he goes and picks her up, which is down, you know, like where your shop is, Sam, Primark. You know, when you kind of turn left, and it kind of goes behind the shops in front of your shop.
Yeah.
You know, opposite you. He went down there to pick her up, pretty much, and so a police officer then. He goes off, and the police officer then kind of like pulls him over, and he starts questioning him, saying, "Excuse me, but have you just picked that young woman up just now?" And I said, "Yeah." And he went, "Can you? Was you possibly cab crawling?" And something like that. And it was just like, "No, this is my sister." And literally, I don't know any more about that. I don't know if the copper had pretty much started to blush. I don't know, or he just kind of got in his car and buggered off. I don't know, but apparently, at that time they were really cutting down on prostitution and cab crawling, and it must have been one of those either unmarked police car or something parked up behind him, and he just noticed a young woman getting into his car. You know, kind of wrongly assumed it was a prostitute, and it was actually my cousin he was picking up. But it's one of those things, you know. I mean, it could happen to anybody. I mean, I even don't know why we're getting down the whole prostitution thing today, but I think we should stop because I don't really want to gonna. But yeah, it's just one of those things. But anyway, so how have you been, Lawrence? How have you been lately?
Not too bad. This week's been rather good. I went to go and see Venom on Tuesday, which I really did enjoy. It was a good film.
It is a good film.
It is.
I might go and see it again.
I like how there's the post-credit scene where it leads into potentially the car.
Have you heard all the rumours about the Carnage film?
No.
I don't know how true this is.
Not yet.
I hope it's true, because if it is, it's going to cause an uproar. Apparently, the producer of the Venom film, obviously they are doing a Carnage film, is saying that he wants to make a film about the man behind Carnage. He basically wants to make it a kid-friendly Carnage film that'll be about feelings and be about the man and not about the symbiote who kills people. And he wants it to be more about the person behind Carnage. It's like, what? No.
Well, Venom is so not kid-friendly. How are they going to... If they can try and continue that with a friendly film, with a kid-friendly film, it's like... I mean, you know, I was thinking... I didn't get to see Venom in 2... I was thinking if I saw Venom in 3D, which I didn't, it would be quite... Some bits of it were so graphic. It was good. But no, I really can't imagine them, you know, I really can't imagine Carnage being successful if they're going to make it more appealing to kids.
To be honest,
I don't think they will do.
To be honest, it's going to be interesting of how they're going to maybe do Carnage, because if you want to do Carnage properly, and I know me and Sam have had this conversation before, if you wanted to do the whole Carnage thing properly, he would essentially have to be an 18. But the problem is, I thought Venom was a 12 because it was certificated before it came out as a 12, and it got a bit of uproar about that. And then when we went to see it, and Sam pointed out it was actually a 15 certificate, and I was like, oh, okay. But if they try and keep it as a 15 rated for Carnage, you can push the boundary to a point with a 15. You can put blood in there. You can make it graphic enough that isn't going to be a bit too over the top for a young kid going to see it with his parents or whatever. But yeah, the thing is now is I'm actually quite happy with, you know, because obviously this whole thing came about because of Deadpool. You know, you can joke to yourself, say heart's content, and say no, it wasn't. But it was the Deadpool thing where they were pushing and pushing and pushing for an R-rated Deadpool film. Since that came out and it did incredibly well, this has now started like a renaissance in a way within the cinema community and directors, and now they're trying to push for an R-rated X-Men film, an R-rated, you know, a bit more of a mature themed superhero movie. Because if you look at a lot, you know, yeah, okay, don't get me wrong, X-Men, it's had a long run of comic books that were essentially for young kids. I wouldn't say really young, I'd say they were more based for early teens to, you know, I'd say they were more for like early teens comic books. But you do have the much more dark stories. So I think, like Old Man Logan, for example. Don't get me wrong, the film Logan's brilliant, but they could have really pushed that. They could have maybe gone for an 18, because Old Man Logan is a much more... Yeah. I think it is an 18-rated graphic novel, actually. Or 15. I don't know, but it is really... Yeah, I agree.
I think now that Disney have the MCU, they'll keep that marginally child-friendly. But now that's what Sony can make these films that, you know, are strictly mainly for the adult audiences. Because I know now that there have been series of Venom standalone comics, and obviously this version of Venom has no connection to Spider-Man. So.
True. Well, apparently they are now saying he could have a connection to Spider-Man, and he could possibly be in the next Venom, in the next Spider-Man film, because there was on the apparently Sony were actually producing this Venom film, and because Sony apparently own quite a lot of characters, Marvel characters. More than I was considering they owned. I thought they only owned the rights to Spider-Man and the X-Men films and stuff like that. but I was wrong. They actually own a lot of rights to a lot of characters, and they are saying that in Marvel and Sony, they're trying to kind of have this bridgeway as say, like, okay, if we, they're asking, apparently Sony wants one of the Avengers to be in one of their films, and that's what happened with Robert Downey Jr. in the first Spider-Man film. So they said to him, okay, well, you'll give you Iron Man, Robert Downey Jr., Tony Stark, we'll give you him in the first, Spider-Man Homecoming, I think it is, or whatever it is. But anyway, so we'll give you him for that film, and in return, would you possibly allow us to use some of your characters in our films? So they're trying to bridge that gap with a partnership with, okay, yeah, can we use this character if we give you this character, so to speak? And it's starting to work out a bit more. And apparently, Kevin Feige, I think his name is Kevin Feige, who's the big, massive guy, pretty much the guy that's in charge of the whole cinematic universe of Marvel's MCU. He was actually, I think him was the one that kind of tried to help this whole transition happen. So we don't know what's going on. There's a lot of speculation at the moment with what's going to happen in the future with the whole Venom thing. I mean, I want Tom Hardy's Venom to be the Venom, because he is the closest Venom we've ever had in film. Because he's only been done once.
The only other Venom we had was in Spider-Man 3, which Venom in Spider-Man 3, I thought he was okay, but the problem was that in Spider-Man 3, I think ultimately why that franchise ended, that they tried to squeeze too much into one film.
They did the same with Amazing Spider-Man.
The Venom saga was a massive part of Spider-Man.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, go on.
What was that, Sam? You said something about the Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Yeah, the Amazing Spider-Man 2, the reason that franchise died was because they effectively screwed up in the Amazing Spider-Man 2, because they tried to set up the Sinister Six in one film. So effectively you had Elektra, Green Goblin, and Rhino show up. They also had the suits for Vulture, and the Venom symbiote also shows up in that film as well. They literally tried to set up the Sinister Six in one film, and it just did not work.
No. But the thing is, in the last Sam Raimi film, Spider-Man 3, that Venom, I thought he was okay, but the same thing, Spider-Man 3 tried to squeeze in far too much to one film, because you had the plot with Peter and Mary Jane's relationship going horribly wrong. Then you had the plot with the three villains. You had the new Goblin, then you had the Sandman, and then they decided to bring Venom in at the end. And
yeah.
So yeah, I think it's good that they're making a lot of these standalone films.
Well, to be honest with you, I mean, I'm kind of, yeah. I mean, to be honest with you, I mean, I'm just happy that we've finally got a very good Venom. Yeah, okay, apparently it's 50-50 with audiences. To be honest, it's not 50-50 with audiences. It's 50-50 with critics. Let's just put that on the bottom line here. It's the critics that are 50-50, not because the people that are going to see this film are coming away saying that was brilliant, except for, okay, not everybody's liking it. Okay, everyone has their own opinion. Not everyone's going to like this film, because it's impossible for everybody on the entire planet to like a film you like or everyone else seems to like. But to be honest with you, this is the closest Venom we're probably ever going to get. And he was much more true to the source and true to the original design. Hence why I've noticed a couple of conversations saying, there's a few like memes going around and people not liking Venom's design in the film because he doesn't have the spider. Spider.
He doesn't actually get that until after he bonds with Spider-Man, because that's part of Spider-Man. Effectively.
I know, but apparently, apparently the original design of Venom doesn't have that. The original design of Venom doesn't have that.
Spider-Man's
Sorry?
But the reason why the symbiote gains some of Spider-Man's abilities is because it can keep certain characteristics it likes from previous hosts.
True.
So when Peter gets rid of it and bonds with Eddie, that's why he's got some of the Spider-Man's abilities. Because first, obviously, it bonds to Peter and forms his black suit. And then that's why it had the white logo on it. And when it bonded to Eddie and he became Venom, it kept some of those.
Well, true.
Some of the things.
Yeah, I mean, like I say, I mean, what you're saying is right, but there's different interpretations of Venom over the years, and apparently there is 2 character designers for Venom. There's the original concept that was done for like the original comic book appearance, the original creation. I've forgotten the guy's name, but the original creator, the one of the guys that actually started it off to begin with, he went with the whole black and big teeth and tongue thing, and then later on, there was another guy that is actually down as a co-creator. It's actually Todd McFarlane. And Todd McFarlane created the whole Spawn universe and a lot of that stuff as well. And he was also one of the co-creators of Venom, but he went with the whole spider chest thing. And apparently he's not a fan of the big long tongue. So his version of Venom is like the more, the symbiote takes over the host completely, rather than the original, like in the film, the symbiote's talking to Eddie, and Eddie's still got his own mind still there, if you know what I mean. So it's kind of like 2 personalities in one body. But I think Todd's version, Todd McFarlane's version, I think his version is the one where once the symbiote takes over Eddie Brock, he is Venom. There's no more Eddie Brock once that symbiote's taken over. So there's that. I think that's the difference between the 2. And obviously, Todd McFarlane preferred the whole spider chest, and it went down as kind of like a very I think people got used to the whole spider thing. Hence why all the toys for Venom have always had that white spider symbol on the front. But originally, when he first came out in comic books, he was completely black with a red tongue and white teeth and big eyes. That's his original design. So it's more centered to the original creation, to the original comic books, and it's actually going down the whole symbiote war thing, battle thing. I don't know, but it's supposed to be kind of like all the symbiotes. Venom kind of goes up against all the symbiotes, and it's supposed to be an adaptation of that comic book, apparently. So in that film, as you would have seen, he only goes up against Riot, but there's also obviously Venom. Obviously, Eddie Brock was infected by Venom, but Riot ended up kind of infecting a couple of other people up to the point of going up to the guy that was actually ended up being the bad guy in the film. But there is actually more on Earth, because if you notice, there's only 2 symbiotes that are ever in the film from beginning to end. But yet there is actually another 1 or 2 that there's another 1 or 2 that were never really mentioned, but obviously one of them is obviously Carnage. So, but there's another one as well. So there's 4 symbiotes that brought to Earth. So there's one that we've not seen yet.
Isn't
one that we speculate is obviously Carnage.
Like,
sorry?
Isn't the Carnage symbiote supposed to be like the Venom symbiote's reproduction? In the comics, I know it is.
Apparently,
meant to be like its offspring.
Yeah, apparently Carnage is kind of supposed to be. I think Carnage symbiote is kind of something that comes. I don't know. Is it comes out of or something of the actual Venom symbiote? Kind of. I don't know if it's becomes 2 self-aware symbiotes. I'm not too sure. I don't know. I've not actually read much of the Venom. I actually have not read any of them actually. I need to rectify that, because I love Venom, but I grew up with Venom in the 90s Spider-Man series. So that's the only reason why I know Venom, because Venom and Carnage was in the 90s Spider-Man series, and I grew up with that.
Yeah. If you go back to like when they first got this idea, when Marvel first got this idea to change the color of Spider-Man's suit to black. Originally, I don't know if they came up with the idea to do it kind of as like a semi-permanent thing, but they said that before the comic came out, where it was introduced, they started releasing merchandise with the black suit on it, and so apparently some of the public didn't like it, and then so they decided to make it only a temporary thing, to have it be like an alien creature, a symbiote that's alive that takes over him, and then when Peter. But then after the comic story, the public started really liking it, so they decided they had to bring it back. And I think at some point after the Venom saga, actually the Black Cat makes Peter sort of his own artificial version of the black suit. That's what I heard.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of true. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm not really well versed when it comes to the comic books. I'm more versed in what I've seen from cartoons when I was a kid. I mean, like I say, I've got some graphic novels behind me that I've not read properly, and I need to read those. But I kind of want to go more into the comic book side. But this is the problem. It's very difficult to land without doing an extensive search. It's quite difficult to find where to go to find the original stories or the original.
Well, if you want to go with Venom,
yeah,
or just do Venom, you need to read Secret Wars, because effectively the Secret Wars is where Spider-Man first gets the symbiote. That's effectively the very first, the black suited Spider-Man in Secret Wars.
Yeah, at the end of Spider-Man, because at the end of Spider-Man, after he comes back to Earth, I think it's like his red and blue suit is basically almost destroyed, and it turns out he's somehow obtained this symbiote he's found, and then it bonds with him.
Yeah.
Oh, Sam, on the subject of comics, do you still read Shattered Grid, the Power Rangers comic?
I'm kind of a bit behind on it. I'm catching up. I'm a little bit.
Yeah, I haven't bought an issue.
No,
I bought a few of them. I was really getting into it.
I haven't been buying them. I've just been catching up online. But I'm a bit behind.
Yeah.
I need to read that myself, to be honest. Shattered Grid. I mean, I've been looking up on it, and for some reason, I could only find the first issue, the sale, but that was a bit ago now. They might have maybe more issues available now, but I might see if my local comic book shop might have them. Should have. Or if he can't, I might maybe see if I can ask him if he can order me them in, because he does specialise. If there doesn't have anything in, he can actually find it for you, hopefully, and bring it into store, and you pick it up from him for a small little fee. I might see if I can do that. If he can maybe get them for me.
Yeah, I was thinking.
I'll pick them up from him. But at the moment, like I said,
still not watched the Ninja Steel 20th anniversary episode.
No.
Yeah, I watched it last night.
Because if you did you like it?
Yeah, well, it was all right. It was good to see some of the it was good to see JDF back. It was good to see Jason Font, Time Force Red. It was good to see him back, and good to see Kota back, which is the blue Dino Charge. The fun fact, I don't know if you know
Rocky,
this.
The second.
Yeah. Fun fact though, Lawrence, I don't know if you know about this, but apparently, you know the obviously Kota, the blue Dino Charge Ranger, and the blue Ninja Steel Ranger are actually brothers in real life.
Oh right.
Yeah, I didn't realise.
I heard that there was a.
Yeah, apparently at Paramorphicon last year, where they announced, not last year, year before, sorry, 2 years ago, because there's obviously 2 seasons of, obviously we're in second season of Ninja Steel now. So 2 years ago, when the Paramorphicon 2016, when they announced Ninja Steel, apparently they kept it complete secret from the guy that was cast as a Blue Ranger in Ninja Steel. And his brother got the job as the Dino Charge Blue Ranger. So they kept it secret from him because apparently I'm guessing that they knew about the whole thing, that he got the job and that, but they kept it secret. And at Paramorphicon, I think 2016, they did this whole big reveal thing right in front of an audience of fans, of Power Ranger fans, and they announced it that he was going to be the Blue Ranger, and there was this big, brother kind of this sentimental thing live on stage, and they kind of out, and apparently I think his brother tried to get the job of the previous Dino Charge Blue Ranger, but he didn't get it. His brother got it instead. And I think this was his other chance to get in a Power Rangers role. He finally got the role, and there was this big. It's on YouTube. If you're not seeing it, it's on YouTube. Somebody recorded it.
Yeah. I knew there was a connection because I think the Blue Dino Charge Rangers actor appears in a cameo in a scene where the Blue Ninja Steel Ranger's driving a car. I was trying to think, but that's actually quite common with Power Rangers, where lots of actors who eventually got on to the show had been auditioning for it for years. I mean, do you know who Daniel Southworth, the Time Force Quantum Ranger, Eric?
Yeah.
He'd been auditioning for the show, I heard, since it started. He'd auditioned as far back as Jason. He tried to get the role of Jason in the original series. And I think he'd done stunts for, like, the big show in Los Angeles. They did at Universal Studios back in '95, I think it was. And then he tried auditioning, I think, for Lights Rescue, and then he eventually got on to Time Force.
Yeah. Well, I've been watching a little bit of Paramorphicon actually, which is the big one in America, a big convention.
I know that. Yeah, I really want to go there. I've seen. Great. I'd give anything to go.
I'd love to go as well, but the problem is, I did a bit of research on Paramorphicon, and my God, you're going to need some bloody money. Because to meet them, because it's not just one, they pretty much try to get the entire cast of every series to go, except for the odd one or two that maybe can't make it. But they try to get the entire cast, and in order to meet the whole cast, you have to pay separate fees, or try and get the VIP pass. And I've seen, the VIP passes are ridiculously priced, but if you look at it, they're actually worth them. They're pricing gold, really. They're printing gold, whatever. Because because the VIP, the VIP tickets and everything, it's what you would say is quite an extortionate price. But if you look at it, the amount of guests that they book per year,
I know.
Kind of works out quite well. It probably works out at probably about £40 or £50 per actor. And they don't just have one or two actors; they have like an entire cast of every series from the start. And they also book some of the original Japanese actors as well. That was actually the Power Rangers.
Some of the Sentai actors come over there. I know the year before the first Super Sentai Zyuranger came out on DVD in America, they actually had the red. They first had the original red Zyuranger there, and then the following year they had all the 5 Zyuranger cast, and then they had the Die Ranger, Red Ranger as well. So how much do you think you'd need to go to Morphicon altogether? You're spending money, your VIP passes, your food, your accommodation, your flights.
A lot.
Thinking fortune.
You'd need a lot.
You would need a lot, and
$6,000.
I really don't know how people afford to go to these things every single year, because some of these big conventions in America, you're just like, how the hell? I mean, some of these people say, "Oh, this is my 5th consecutive year," and I'm like, how the hell have you afforded to go to this specific convention for the past 5 years and met nearly every goddamn actor or guest that you could possibly meet? It's impossible, really. It's hard. I mean, obviously, I know in America they do get paid a bit more than we do, but I don't know if that's maybe why. But it's interesting. It is interesting with the Pamovcon. I mean, I would love to do it, but it probably.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose that a lot of the people who go obviously are Americans.
Obviously, yeah.
And they probably, depending on how far they got to go.
We do have a UK.
As I said, Lawrence, as you just said there, mate. A lot of people, if they're American, if they're obviously living in America, a lot of the time it's not that expensive to go to these conventions because they don't have to pay to fly there.
No.
A lot of the time they can just drive there, and it's
not necessarily, Sam. Not necessarily, because if you're looking at different states in America, there is sometimes about a good hour or two flight involved from set to state.
Yeah, but even then it's taxiing, ain't it? They're not flying like 6-7 hours. They're just getting a taxi plane, and that's still going to be cheap.
It's not an international flight. It's a local flight. Yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah, you've got a good point. But certain states in America, it depends, because I think the Palmorphicon's based in Philadelphia, not Philadelphia.
It's in Pasadena.
Pasadena, thank you.
Pasadena, California.
Yeah, so that's in California.
It's near LA, so.
Well, yeah, obviously, yeah, California. So if you think about it, like, say if you lived in New York, you would have to get a commuter flight, and it would probably take from New York to California, could take possibly about 2 or 3 hours. So that you got to put that into perspective. But compared to how much it would cost for, say, me, you, and Sam, Lawrence and Sam, to go across on an international flight. I mean, the international flights could be between 7 to about over 1,000 for a return. That's without your baggage. And your hotel. So I'd say, I mean, I would want to do it, but obviously I need to get a job first. But what I'm meaning is that it would probably take a good 2 or 3 years to save to go to an international convention.
Yeah, it would.
I mean, I want to do SDCC as well, and New York Comic Con. And I also
maybe one of us should try and get on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire and see if we can win some nice cash so we can all go.
I wonder if you, Lawrence, could sit in the. I'd play, and you, Lawrence, sit in the audience, and whenever you know what the answer of the question is, you cough, and maybe we can win it. No.
Yeah, you know that didn't work once before.
Yeah.
Well, the chap that cheated won, but then they discovered that's what he'd done. But the thing is, the guy that was coughing for him was actually one of the other 10 contestants.
Yeah.
And then
apparently it was his, I think it was his wife or something up in the audience, and she kept every time she kept.
No, it was one of the yeah, and also they had like another bloke who was one of the main contestants who sit waiting to get into the hot seat, who was doing the cough whenever they heard the right answer.
Speaking of conventions and stuff, I wanted to run something past you, Lawrence. Basically, Knowles is pretty much in the process of possibly sorting this out. But I just wanted to run something past here. TFN next year. Are you going, mate?
I should be. Are you?
I am going. I've got the time booked off. I'm just going to ask you now if you're interested. I don't know, because he knows he might be sharing with Lizzie, so I was going to query whether or not he'd want to bunk up with me when we go halves in the room.
Yeah, you see, well, normally my dad pays for my room, and and his girlfriend pays for the ticket for me as a sort of a Christmas and birthday present. So yeah, I mean, yeah, well, I could get my dad to maybe book the room either for me, and you could pay in your bit.
Well, yeah, I can do that.
Because I normally have it, you see, as a joint birthday and Christmas. So, yeah, I normally would do that because yeah, so basically I have that sort of a joint present so that I can just focus on saving for spending money.
Well, as I said, I'll have the.
And you never know, Sam. I might be able to.
Yeah, go on.
Yeah, if you book with me, if you come with me, I might be able to get you access to the executive lounge as well because I normally have it. So.
Well, let me know, mate. Because to be fair,
we can go and get some free.
I've done a load of overtime the last 2 months. Done a load of night shifts. So
yeah.
come end of this month, I'll have the hotel money saved up already. That'll be done. So if you're all right with it, I can give you half towards it. Just let me know, mate.
Yeah. The thing is, I'm hopefully going to be getting a new computer this Christmas, and my dad's girlfriend's going to pay for half of it with some discount because they're getting it, I think, in America. So I'm going to have to just be more. I'm going to have to start really more saving for next year for the 7 months leading up to it. But yeah, I mean, yeah, I definitely want to go to TFN because it's like a family now, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. I am curious about who they're going to have next year because there was a lot of talk that whoever they're going to have next year, the rumour flying around was that it's going to beat Stan Bush. So that's like, well, who could it possibly be? I think
Michael Bay.
This is just a guess, purely based on the fact that it is obviously 10 years. Celebrate 10 years, longer than that. They're celebrating the anniversary for Beast Machines. I'm really hoping we're going to get Gary Chalk.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I've only met him once, and that was 8 years ago. So I really wouldn't mind to meet him again.
Yeah, too.
Was he another voice actor? Or
yeah,
was he the lead creator?
No, Gary Chalk played Optimus Primal in Beast Wars.
Yeah.
He's been quite a lot of love.
All right. Yeah, when I was doing my work placement in The Entertainer, just after when I came back from TFN, and the manager of the shop, she asked me what guest did you have, and I said, well, we had Stan Bush who did 2 songs for the soundtrack of the original cartoon movie, and she said, oh, Megan Fox wasn't there. I said, no. Do you still plan to go to TF? Obviously, yeah. You obviously plan to go to TFN next year, don't you, John?
I plan to, but whether or not I can afford to, I don't know. It kind of depends. I mean, I'm hoping I can, but at the moment, it's kind of on hold at the minute. But we'll see how it goes, I suppose. See how things pan out, or if I can maybe see if I can start some.
Yeah, I mean, it's no bigger issue, but I'm still trying to find a bit of work, a bit of part-time work. Hopefully, I might find something in the not too distant future.
Okay.
There's always something out there, mate.
Yeah.
Yeah, no matter what, there's always something out there. I'm going to start looking for another job in February. Yeah, I don't really.
Are you going back to full time or?
Well, I'd like to get full. I mean, I've never done full time, mate.
You like Prime?
Literally, it's all right. They're a good company. It's just that I don't want to stay in retail. Retail, financially, retail does not pay a lot. You know,
no, it doesn't. You're right.
Realistically, I don't have much of a financial gain in working in retail. I mean, even if I went full time at Primark, like say, like the supervisors at Primark, they only get about £1 more than what I get. Even if I went full time at Primark, I personally believe from an outgoing point of view, I'd be spending more money a month than I'd be getting in, largely on obviously on dinner breaks and stuff. Because at the moment, the only thing I'm spending for my work is just it's my bus pass to get there every week, and that's not too bad. It's not a lot, not too much money for a weekly pass from Tesla to Hull city centre, so it's not too bad. But if the only thing that I'm kind of aware of is that if I was working full time, I'd have to be forking out money every day for lunch, and that it'd add up. You know, the costs would add up.
Yeah,
I'd rather be
exactly. Yeah. Well, yeah.
You see, I'd rather be working full time.
Well, obviously, when I worked in,
go on, mate.
Yeah. The thing is, when I did my retail work in my local town in Harborough, I didn't necessarily have to eat proper lunches every day because I'd only be there for sort of 3 to 6 hours, and then I could go straight home and get something to eat because I don't live far from the town centre. But I've noticed since I've done this new placement, and when I used to work at the Remploy head office in Leicester, there used to be these sandwich vans that would come, like Britannia and Marks and Spencer's would come and stop at the office every day, and everyone would want to go and buy their sandwiches, and they were so expensive. And then some people would be going up to McDonald's because there was a McDonald's just up from the office, where people would be going to. Some people would go to McDonald's several times a week for their lunch.
Yeah, well, it's true what Sam says. You know, retail really doesn't pay very well. I mean, you know, it depends though. I mean, some places
yeah,
a little bit more than the average.
Yeah, I mean, I had a suggestion made to me today that maybe I should try and look for something else other than retail. Partly because I've not had a great deal. I've had some till experience, but not that much. I'm trying, you know, it'd be good if I can get a place that you know, can hopefully get me properly till trained, but
yeah. Well, what you could do, and like what I did, I mean, before I got the job where I was before, basically, I didn't have any customer service experience either. And what I did, I ended up going to British Hat Foundation, and ended up doing some voluntary.
Yeah, well, well, that's how I got my experience. I mean, yeah, my first experience of any kind of shop work was at Oxfam. I also did a few years earlier at the British Art Foundation as well. But I did do some till training at Oxfam, and then I got to do a little bit while I did placements at Savers. And I was meant to be till trained when I did my last Christmas temp at Wilco's, but they never got round to it. So I was mainly just working on the shop floor.
Yeah, because to be honest, I kind of put it down to when I got the job at well, my last place. I'm not going to say where, but yeah, when I got the job, anyways, I pretty much I thought the only experience I had was because when I was at British Art Foundation, I did they trained me how to work a till. They trained me how to do stock replenishment. and they also trained me how to tag and sort out the donations, and also kind of like clean up and just pretty much normal stuff, really. And that is the only experience I had, and I got that through Job Centre when I was previously jobless before I got the job. And that's literally the only experience I got. And then I got two. Funnily enough, I got two calls. I went from an interview, like a group interview, and then I got called back to go for the second, because it's like a two-part, like a two-session thing. And then I got a call back to say, I would love you to come to the second part of it. And I put the phone down, and I think that same day that I got the call to go for the second part, Co-op in Hessel gave me a phone call and said, we would love you to come for an interview. And I had to literally decline, because I'd literally pretty much been given the job. Because the reason why I say that is because my cousin that works for them, where I was before, basically she pretty much she said how it works with the whole application side. You apply, and if it kind of does well, because it's kind of like a tally, like not a tally, it's kind of like a scoring system type deal with the application. So if it scores well with them, then they will automatically bring you in for an interview. So, and then, but she said, as soon as you go for like a group interview, you pretty much have the job, because when you go for the group interview, which is kind of like team-based, kind of like a group teamwork kind of exercises and things, and then when they bring you for essentially the second part, that is when they essentially take you around the shop to kind of show you what it looks like, introduce you to certain staff members, and then they actually gave me 20 minutes of until training on the second part, which pretty much says, you have the job, we're going to give you a little bit of training. I had 20 minutes live on a checkout. Next day, I was on my own for 4 hours, for about 6 hours, because for some reason they just chucked every bit of overtime at you, mate, at the new ones, that annoyed a few of the ones that have been there for a while, which rightly so, because they have the right for overtime as well. But yeah, it's a job, and I took any hours that they wanted to give me. And I think at some point when I first started, the first couple of months, obviously I started in April, so the first, I think probably the first 6 months or so, I was something like 50 hours a week. And I know that sounds stupid, but they gave me so much overtime. I was like over 50 hours a week, and I was getting over $1,000 a month after tax. I think I was getting about 12 or 1,300 after tax, and all of a sudden, all the overtime just vanished, because they essentially, their yearly allowance they just gave out to the new ones, which was kind of their own stupid fault. But I kind of thought, well, that would be awesome if I was on 40, 50 hours a week. That would be quite good. But with it being part time, they're not going to give you that forever. But anyway, what can you do? But I would certainly, Sam has his own thoughts on, he doesn't think it's a good idea to work for free and everything and volunteer your services. But I mean, to be honest, I felt like that as well when they mentioned it to me, because my mum and my dad said, "Well, what's the point of that?" It's kind of like, is going voluntary. He's not going to get paid for it. That's the whole point of voluntary. So, and he needs a job.
It's the experience it gives you.
But yeah, it did actually gave me the key skills that I would need for some sort of shop work environment. So Exactly. So essentially, it paid off in the end. So even though I was a bit on the fence about it,
Yeah, exactly.
in a way, it actually helped me get the job. So, but like I say, I mean, it's up to you. It's up to you. I mean, it's your decision, Lawrence. But I would certainly say either go to, because they're always after people. They've always got signs in. Pretty much always got signs in charity shops, always saying either
Yeah.
we need donations, or we need help, or help needed, or help wanted. And I would definitely say try it, because if you want to get a job, what it shows to employers is that you are willing to work regardless of being paid or not. And it shows that willingness. And then
Yeah.
it makes the employer think, okay, put you
Yeah,
up.
I mean, to say, I've just done that. Well, last August, at the end of August, I did that 6-week placement over the summer at the entertainer. I didn't get paid for it, but I really enjoyed it, and it was a great experience. And for a majority of the retail work I have done, I haven't actually been paid. It has been on placements. I mean, the one I got paid of was a Christmas temp a few years ago.
Yeah.
But since then, most of the work I've done has been on work experience placements. And I've also did several times I went back to the Oxfam shop.
Cool.
So, have you guys bought anything new recently?
Not recently.
No.
I was looking at some stuff about a week ago, but the thing that puts me off is when you go looking at, especially Transformers, when you go looking outside the grid, when you look at the more collectors variant stuff, what gets me is it's either extremely overpriced or it'll cost you like £4 to get it shipped from America. Wait, I don't mind paying.
Yeah, I know.
I'm paying the cost to get something shipped. I don't mind that. But it's when people are asking stupid money, like, 250 quid for a figure that was on release was maybe 15 quid. It kind of gets me a bit.
Oh, God. Yeah, I get what you mean. I mean, the only other time I usually buy most stuff online is when I want something from abroad, which is normally would be from the States.
Yeah, same thing, mate. Or Japan. To be frank, Japan isn't too bad.
Yeah.
Because obviously it translates through dollars to pounds anyway, so it's normally fairly cheap.
Yeah. I'm just going to nip out for a cig. I'll be back in a minute.
All right, okay. You can quit.
You know what, Sam? I might watch the best ever Transformers live action film ever made.
That'd be the original first one.
Blow my brains out with boredom. I might go and watch The Last Night.
Yeah, you got The Last Night. You got it.
Yeah, I got it. I
just thought it. Bloody hell! I haven't bought any of the live action films since the third one. In fact, I don't even think I still got them. The only one that I ever really watched on DVD when I bought it was the very first film. I don't bother with the other two. I do have them, but I don't really watch them.
I've got all of them. Even though I don't like them really, I like the first one. The second one's okay from about halfway in, and then it just kind of goes complete shit afterwards.
Yeah, because you can tell that the halfway point of that film is where the writer's strike happened. It just goes to shit. It literally goes to shit.
I mean, Dark of the Moon is okay. Just I don't like how they portrayed Shockwave and the whole. I don't know. Just felt wrong. Age of Extinction is okay to a point. I just don't like the weird transformation. And then Dark of the Moon is probably the worst one I've ever done. Not Dark of the Moon. The Last Night, sorry.
Well, the problem with The Last Night was it was very much set up in a certain way, and then that certain way wasn't right. And in a way, in a sense, it's kind of a bit annoying that they're not going to finish the story, so you're not going to know what the final film was going to be about. Though, to be perfectly honest, even though they were doing obviously doing Unicron, they would have screwed it up somewhere. They really would have screwed it up. So I think it's kind of good that effectively Bumblebee is a soft reboot. So I'm curious about what will happen after that, about what the future will hold for the live action film in general.
Yeah, well, I am as well. Well, I'm actually planning, Sam, going through all my DVDs and finding horror films that I've had for years, ones that I actually do like, not ones that I don't like. Because there's a couple that I've watched once and I will not watch again. That I kind of waste. That's a waste of money.
Out of interest, mate, how much room have you got on your walls?
Room?
Yeah.
Not much. Why?
No, I'm just curious about how much wall room you've got. I can't really see from there, but I assume you've got some room available.
I have a little bit of room available. I mean, I have got some bare wall.
That'll be all right.
I've got this like plasterboard wall as well.
Yeah. Also, out of interest, how much room do you have under your bed?
What?
Yeah, just if you required to hide something under there that was fairly large that you may not want your dad to see. Hypothetically speaking, of course, would you have the room under your bed?
No. Depending on
hypothetically speaking, do you have the room in your room to hide something about the size of this computer monitor? Roughly, hypothetically speaking, which is probably about that big-ish. Again, hypothetically speaking, of course.
The size of a computer monitor?
Yeah, hypothetically speaking.
Hypothetical?
Yeah, it's just a curious inquiry, mate. That's all. I'm just being hypothetical.
Is it not like the size of Lawrence's TV in the background?
Maybe, but again, hypothetical. It's all hypothetical, mate. I'm just killing time. I'm just querying my mate here about what places you might have where you can put stuff. Just stuff like that. Just hypothetical questions. Nothing major.
Probably might, depending on how big it is. If it's an art print, possibly. If it's a figure, possibly not.
Hypothetically, do you have anywhere you could, hide alcohol? If you didn't want your dad to drink it.
No, because my dad's.
Yeah.
Well, if I was to have this alcohol anywhere near the kitchen, my dad would likely find it and start drinking it, and I would find out when I get back from whatever is I was supposed to be doing that day, and find the bottle empty. No, it should be all right. I mean,
it's all hypothetical, mate. I'm just querying, asking questions.
Hypothetically, Sam, are you after anything in particular? Because I need to start Christmas shopping probably next month.
It's not like it's your birthday in literally a month's time. It's not like hypothetically Sam might have prepared something for you. Hypothetically speaking, Is there anything I want for Christmas? I'll have to get back to you on that because I need to do one for my mum. Because my mum wants a Christmas list and she starts her shopping for Christmas in about 2 weeks. So I really need to sort something out. I'll probably do it at the weekend. Sort out a Christmas list. What ideas?
I think I need new batteries in my morpher.
Mm.
Hear it?
Yeah.
Sounds like a Tina Turner song.
I mean, hypothetically, mate, book-wise and all that. I mean, how much room do you have for books? Hypothetically, if you were to be getting books, hypothetically, yeah.
Well, considering I have a shitload of books yet to read, not that much. Depending.
Large books like Past Sins can be, quite chunky.
Yeah, that one can be.
I mean, though, in all honesty, the chances of me actually getting a copy of that book is practically zero. I've only ever seen, with the exception of my copy, I've only ever seen 2 other copies on eBay, and that was probably within the last three years. So,
Yeah.
but I mean, it's all hypothetical, mate. I mean, for all you know, I haven't got anything for your birthday because I'm an evil bastard. Yeah. The fact that you would, obviously assume that I would buy you stuff is laughable.
Hmm.
Oh, by the way, I watched Train to Busan.
Oh yeah.
Really enjoyed it. Very, very impressed.
It is brilliant. It's probably one of the best zombie films I've seen for a long time.
Well, it's not an American one, so that's why that kind of makes sense.
Exactly. South Korean films are great. Well, depends. Because there's South Korean versions of the Ring films, and then there's Japanese versions of, which is obviously the original Japanese. Apparently the South Korean ones are better than the Jap ones. So I've heard. But I've recently got the trilogy. I think it's the Japanese ones I've got of the Ring films. I've only seen the first one in Japanese. I haven't seen the other 2. I think. But yeah, like I said a moment ago, I'm going to go around my room, and I'm going to pick out all the horror films I currently own, except for the ones I don't like, and I'm going to probably have a bit of a horror marathon at some point for Halloween, because I've not watched a good horror film in a long time. Including in that, it's going to be Nightmare on Elm Street. I think. Have I got a Nightmare on Elm Street?
Yeah, you'll have that.
I'm sure I picked up Nightmare on Elm Street collection. I don't know where it is, though. It might be downstairs because there's a shitload of DVDs behind the sofa. I've got, obviously, Hellraiser, so that's definitely on cards. Hellraiser, the 3 anyway. The ones that actually are good, except after that, the shit. I've got Scream. I've got Coraline, even that's a kids' film, but it's still kind of like you could probably watch it in Halloween. Got Death Note, definitely. If that's not a horror film, I've got. You know what's really interesting, Sam? I have The Grudge The Grudge 2 and 3. Which are the ones that are, even though the third one's actually a combination of Japanese and American. Because I think they kind of worked with, kind of like, I don't know. It was kind of like, I don't know. But anyway, but I've got The Grudge 3 and The Grudge 2. Guess what I don't have? I can't find.
The original Grudge?
Yes. I've looked everywhere. I did own it. I can't find it. And it is getting quite hard to find them at a decent price at the moment. I don't know why, but for some reason, the original Grudge, the first one, is quite difficult to find at a decent price. The one I had was white. It was a white cover. It says The Grudge, and it was a woman kind of like with her looking at you, but with her hands on front of her face.
Oh yeah, I know the one you're talking about.
That's the one I had, and I can't find it anywhere. And I've got the second one, and the third one, which isn't as good, but I've got those 2, and I can't find the original one. All I can think of is I've accidentally either got rid of it because I had a bit of a purge of my DVDs a couple of years ago. No, last year. I had a bit of a purge and got rid of ones I've not watched in a long time and don't care about. To try and make some room. I'm wondering if I've accidentally maybe chucked that out with some others. But I can't find it anywhere. Don't know where it's gone. So I'm kind of a bit bummed, really, that I've lost pretty much one of my favourite horror films and I can't find it. Well, it's not a horror film, it's a psychological ghost story thing. And I got Diary of the Dead as well, which is weirdly enough, that's the only George A. Romero film I've got on DVD.
I've got all of them.
Yeah, but you
Actually, no, the only one I don't have, because I personally do not like shit, to be honest, is Survival of the Dead.
Yep.
That's the only one I don't have, because I have seen it and I thought it was awful. I didn't think it was very good. It's the only one I haven't got.
You don't want it. I mean, I think I've seen it as well. That's the last one he made, and he kind of went off the radar after that. Didn't make any more films, unfortunately. And then obviously, he sadly passed away a couple of years ago. My morpher needs new batteries. My power morpher needs new batteries. Unless I've broken it. Because I dropped it not too long ago by accident. But it's made out of bloody metal. I would have thought it'd have been fine. I want to get the... that's obviously the original one. But I want to get the Green Ranger and the White Ranger one, even though it's exactly the same. You just get the discs, the power coins. They get the green and the white power coins. So pretty much you have to buy three different versions of the same morpher just to get different little metal coins, which is kind of a bit of a rip-off, really.
How they make the money, mate.
But I suppose the thing is, though, I think the white one has a slightly different design to it, ever so slightly. It's only this one works with the Green Ranger because it's essentially the same, but it's just, it's a corrupted coin. That's all it is. But when he goes to White Ranger, it's a completely different. The look of the front is a slightly different design. I think it actually is painted different. I don't know. I've seen it somewhere, and it looks a little bit different, ever so slightly. But yes, I'm gonna definitely do that.
Hey guys.
There's back.
What are you doing at the weekend, John?
Probably watching porn while sobbing to myself I'm such a weirdo and wishing that I wasn't such a failure. But I don't know. Other than that, I've no idea.
Because I was thinking of going to go and see the new Halloween film.
I want to see Halloween 2. It's got good ratings at the moment. This is Halloween.
I heard about that. Yeah. Is that like another 18 rated film?
Oh yeah.
Is it 18?
Yeah, it's 18.
Really?
Yes, it's 18. I'm looking at it right now. It's 18. I'm looking at on the website on View. It is 18 rated.
They actually made, in this day and age, an 18 rated horror film?
Yes, I know. It's a fucking surprising. Like, oh my god, you don't even see them much these days.
Even though Rob Zombie's versions were also 18. Yeah. But they were more.
I'm going to go and see it, mate. I'm going to go and see it.
I think Rob Zombie's positively insane.
Oh yeah, he's definitely mad.
His Halloween films, even though they've got no story core, the core story is nothing really there. It's just literally him slaughtering people. And like, I think in the second one, where he's in the hospital, and he kills all those doctors and nurses, and apparently in the first 20 minutes, he's killed about 50 people.
Mm.
It's ridiculous. The kill count in those two films is amazing. You could make a good drinking game out of it. Actually, every time Michael Myers in Rob Zombie's films kills somebody, you take a shot. It's like it's a bit like
you guys watch Saw.
Oh yeah, I've seen all of them. I'm all on DVD.
I don't mind the first two. after that, they're just a bit stiff.
Third one's the best.
I like the first two. I've always liked the first two.
Have you ever seen the third one?
I think I've seen all of them.
Third one is the best. Literally, the best three are the best ones.
I think I've seen all of them. I think I've seen all of them. I haven't seen Jigsaw, because quite frankly, I couldn't be asked with that. Well, that's supposed to be a soft reboot as well, Jigsaw.
Kind of. It was a soft reboot, prequel kind of thing.
Yeah, but I'm in the mood for horror films at the moment. So I think once I get into some money, I'm going to treat myself and get myself some more horror films. Because literally, considering I'm a horror film fan, I don't have many. I have more fantasy-based stuff rather than horror at the moment. I have more like, Transformers and to be honest, I need to get more Pixar and Disney stuff on DVD and Blu-ray as well. I mean, I've kind of added a few more. I finally got I got the Tarzan animated Disney films, the first one, and obviously I think it came with the second one, even though it's nowhere near as good.
Yeah, there's Tarzan, then Tarzan and Jane, then Tarzan 2, which is basically like a mid-call.
Yeah. And then I've got... I'm looking forward to Wreck-It Ralph 2. That's out this year.
Oh, yeah, that would be great.
Apparently they've got Mario in it as a character. I had no idea. I've no idea if he's just going to be like Sonic was.
Well, they had Sonic in the first one, didn't they?
Yeah, they had Sonic the Hedgehog, but he was literally just on a billboard. He was just on a billboard kind of advertising something, and I thought, well, that wasn't really much of a cameo, really. I was just him advertising some game or something.
No.
But apparently...
It's a bit like with Ready Player One, isn't it? That they have all the different characters from all the different films and games in.
It is really. Yeah, it has a very similar premise to it, whereas about Ready Player One-ish, where you've got all these different... Well, most of the characters are kind of inspired on certain ones that you would remember. Like, obviously, Wreck-It Ralph. I think Wreck-It Ralph is actually based on a real arcade. I think. I'll have to look into that. I'm pretty sure he had somewhere is actually based on a real game that was called Fix It or something like that. But obviously, I think that's because of they had to kind of change it because of like Jimmy Savile and that. Jim will fix it. So I think they might have maybe changed it to Wreck-It Ralph because it's more family. Okay. I don't know, but.
Something you got, Zootropolis. I didn't know that. Well, I knew, but in America it's called Zootopia.
Yeah,
it's called Zootopia here, isn't it?
No, it's called Zootropolis.
Then why? I'm pretty sure I've got it on Blu-ray. I'm pretty sure it's called Zootopia here.
No, it's called Zootropolis.
Is it?
Yeah.
Strangely, I thought it was Zootopia here and then Zootropolis in America.
No.
Oh.
Zootropolis.
No, of course it is. I haven't watched that in a while. I think I've watched it twice. Once since I got it on Blu-ray and once when I went to cinema. I need to watch it again. Beautiful film.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Recently, I picked up a copy of Wall-E on Blu-ray. I haven't seen Wall-E for ages. I went to see it at the cinema, and I think watched it once when we got the DVD. The Pixar film.
I need to get Wall-E. I love Wall-E. They need to make a sequel. Don't know why, but I would love to see a second one.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So they've not done they've not done a Bugs Life sequel. They haven't done one to Wall-E. They've not done one to Ratatouille.
They need to do something for Ratatouille. I liked Ratatouille. I didn't think I would because it's about cooking, but I actually quite liked it. It's quite good.
Yeah. I think the only Pixar film I'm missing on Blu-ray, or DVD. I've got most of the Disney films on Blu-ray now. I've got like a big collection of them.
Well,
I haven't, but one I've not. The one I've got my own copy of here at my flat is Ratatouille.
Yeah. Well, they're actually selling in HMV. They've actually got a lot of the Disney stuff on DVD and Blu-ray really dead cheap. I think they're like seven. I think they're seven.
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
In HMV, and I think the DVDs are £5. So you're only paying like £2 or £3 more for the Blu-ray.
I mean, as I say, I've got this piece of Blu-ray.
I had loads of them on VHS, and I think I've still got.
I did as well.
Back somewhere. I need to.
In 1990, from 1992 to 1996, they kept re-releasing all the classics, didn't they?
I'm thinking of rebuying.
Because we had.
Yeah. I'm thinking of rebuying all of because I think I've got all the Toy Story films on Blu-ray. I've got
I've got the Blu-ray box.
Yeah, I've got Moana and Zootropolis, whatever, on Blu-ray. What else have I got on Blu-ray? I've got Wreck-It Ralph, but that's on DVD. Don't know why, but it is.
Yeah.
What else have I got? Shit.
I've got the Lion King, obviously.
I've got the Lion King.
Oh yeah, I've got that.
Well, I'm not sure. I'm not sure whether to rebuy them all. Like, get rid of the DVDs I've got and just buy them all Blu-ray, because you get more like.
I even have Frozen. I mean, I even have Frozen. So
I'm not buying Frozen. I think Sam's got Frozen.
Do you like that, Sam?
I've got it somewhere.
Do you like Frozen?
I haven't watched it in
You
years.
like?
I mean, it's that kind of film where you kind of think to yourself at the time it's good, and then you kind of slowly start to realise that the only thing it's got going for it is its soundtrack.
The one song.
Yeah. And then it's like Lion King is epic. That's everything from its music to its animation. It's beautiful. Whereas Frozen is, it's not like it's a bad film. It's just that it's made famous by one song. You take that song out of the film, it's got nothing.
Yeah, it's a bad film. And I think apparently that one was actually the first one they did in-house, Disney, when they started their CGI, in-house CGI company.
Sequel's out next year.
Yeah, do you remember Dinosaur? Do you remember Dinosaur?
Yeah,
that was like one of the first CGI films they did for that Pixar, which I remember seeing that at the cinema. I thought that was good.
I remember seeing that at the cinema. It's one of those films that at the time it didn't do as well as they would have hoped. It actually did better domestically.
No, but but back in the days, it was very rare that Disney got a PG rating for a film, and I think they were quite disheartened when they got them. Dinosaur was rated a PG. I know that Toy Story was rated a PG.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to go through them. Reorganize them.
I'm just looking at my Blu-ray collection. I have all the Disney ones more or less together. I've got Pinocchio, got Dumbo, got Sword in the Stone.
Mine are all over the place at the moment.
Got Robin Hood.
I've got like three towers of DVDs, Blu-rays, and all sorts and box sets behind the sofa downstairs. Then I've got all this shit as well up here that I can't find space for. Kind of in a bit of a conundrum. Plus, I've got loads of books that's taking up too much space that I need to read, which is annoying. I'm currently reading The Shining at the final.
It's just that I never saw Frozen at the cinema, obviously, because I couldn't go and watch that. I couldn't go and watch that on my own. There's no way I can go and watch that on my own. I did actually go, I saw Tangled. I did go to see Tangled at the cinema. I actually went with my mum because my mum wanted to see. Yeah, Tangled was good.
Tangled is actually quite good. Actually, Tangled is better than Frozen, definitely. For me, I mean, even that. I don't know if you realise this or know about this, Lawrence, but they actually made a sequel series on Disney XD.
Yeah, they did. I've never watched it, but I have seen the DVDs.
Yeah. So apparently, it's a bit like Big Hero 6. They made the film Big Hero 6, which is fantastic. And then what they're doing at the moment...
Yeah, that was great.
It's only just finished. They've finally wrapped up with a feature-length final 3-part episode, which is about an hour and a half long or something, like an hour and 25 minutes or something. And so they finally wrapped the first season of the actual series, the Disney series they did for it, which was meant to be like a sequel. And then I think they're supposed to be making another film that's going to carry on, or kind of like, it's kind of a thing that they're doing at the moment. There's a few films that they're, instead of making a sequel straight away, they're kind of continuing it as a series and then consider possibly another film later on down the line.
Yeah. I mean, because back in the day, back in like the 90s, they did several cartoon series that didn't tend to do well. I remember the first one I always remember was the Little Mermaid series. That was more like a prequel to the film. Because I remember watching that on Saturday mornings. And then they did Aladdin. What's that?
What you just said, Lawrence. So just Aladdin, the series. What you just said.
Yeah, which I thought Aladdin was quite good. I mean, because it came out after Return of Jafar, and then after the series, you had Aladdin and the King of Thieves. I like both the Aladdin sequels. I thought they were good. But a lot of the straight-to-video / straight-to-DVD sequels weren't really very good because people say they were just cash grabs.
They
were in a lot of ways. I mean, the kind of standing kind of thing, joke with Disney, especially in the 90s, was that in the 90s, the standing joke is that The Lion King was the peak of Disney in the 90s. Everything that came after it was either sequels to classic Disney films or were films that were kind of underrated, didn't really seem to gather much of a fan base until like months or years after the cinema release. But yeah, I'd say Lion King was the peak of Disney in the 90s.
Yeah, I mean, the early 90s were really good for Disney, leading up to sort of the Pixar period. But like in the 1980s, Disney went seriously downhill. It was the Little Mermaid that put them back on top. But I remember there was the Disney film The Black Cauldron. At the time that came out, that didn't get a lot of success. But you know, I really like it. I think it's more love now. I mean, I really like The Black Cauldron.
So Oliver and Company. That kind of gets a lot of. It's really like now. It's got a lot of fans, but back then when it came out, it was quite an underrated film. It was very much a silent film. Nobody really knew about it.
It was very much. It was like Frozen at the time, because the thing is about Oliver and Company. What is it? What is Oliver and Company as a story?
It's Oliver. It's just Oliver Twist.
Oliver Twist.
It's Oliver Twist with dogs and cats.
With animals.
But so that is why it didn't do very well. It's because it was literally just okay. All right. So how many versions of Oliver Twist has there ever been? And we've got this one, which is just dogs and cats that are in New York. But the thing is, I mean, I love it. I mean, I love Oliver and Company. Sorry, I love that film. Yeah. It's beautifully animated and it has a fantastic soundtrack.
What about the Rescuers?
Sorry.
Yeah. What about the Rescuers? Do you like the Rescuers?
Rescuers.
You know, the one about the mice.
I love that one. I've got
But
both
the thing
of
is,
them.
when I watch the Rescue, I get really emotional because it has that really sad song in it.
Mm. I mean, I like the original Rescuers, and well, actually, I never watched. I didn't actually realize when I was a kid. I think my mum and dad bought me the Rescuers, the second one they did, which was I think straight to DVD or something. I can't remember, but they made the Rescuers Down
The
Under.
Rescuers Down Under.
Yeah. Now they bought me. I think I got bought that one on VHS when I was a kid, and I watched it and I loved it. I absolutely loved that, and I didn't realize until later on that it was actually supposed to be. It was kind of like a sequel to the original one. And I thought, oh, I didn't realize there was an original one, so I kind of saw the original Rescuers much later on when I was a bit older. And I've got them now. I've got both of them on DVD as a 2 box set, so I've got that now.
Yeah.
But I loved.
I'm trying to think something like that.
It's not the best Disney film they've ever made, but I really like it, and it has a good message to it. The second one, the Down Under one. Good message.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, you know, when Disney first started making some live action films in 1985, they did The Return to Oz, and that got really bad criticism at the time. But since then, that's gained a loyal following. I really love The Return to Oz. It's completely different, really.
Yeah, I mean, I've never been a big fan of.
But
Yeah. I mean, I'm not a big fan of. I've never been a big fan of Alice in Wonderland, or Wizard of Oz. I've never been a big fan of those at all.
When I was about 4 or 5, for about a year I watched Alice in Wonderland probably every evening, the original animated film, the Disney film.
Well, don't get me wrong. I mean, people do. I mean, it's an incredibly popular title. I mean, it's a really old book as well, and you know, the book's been out for so many times. It's been recirculated and republished a lot, and then obviously,
Peter Pan.
Actually, I would actually like to read the book because the book's a hell of a lot darker than the Disney film. It's like really quite dark.
It is, yeah. Did you ever see the Tim Burton live action version?
Yes.
Yes, and the crap. I don't like him. I like Tim Burton. He's gone down a lot now. I loved Tim Burton's is it Halloween Before Christmas or whatever it is that he did, that stop motion film?
Nightmare.
Yeah.
The Nightmare Before Christmas.
Yeah, I love that. Absolutely love that film, and I love Beetlejuice. I mean, I think he's. I mean, I really respect. I like Edward Scissorhands as well, which is another film of his.
Epic film.
What about Charlie and the Chocolate Factory?
No.
Yeah, his remake of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
I don't like the original.
You don't like that?
I don't like it. I mean, I like.
You don't like?
Sorry.
You don't like Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory?
I don't like the film.
The original film.
I don't like the films. It's just never engaged me ever since I was a kid. Well, there's actually quite a few. There was a film before the original film that was, I think, black and white, and then they made I think black and white. I'm not sure, but I think there's about 2 or 3 versions of the actual Willy Wonka and Chocolate Factory as a film. But
there's a Tom and Jerry one. Came out last year.
I know. We're not talking about that because Sam had a bit of a mental breakdown when I played that. But to be honest with you,
I first saw the nostalgia video, and I watched it. I thought,
yeah, it's literally frame for frame of the film, but animated into Tom and Jerry characters. Incredibly lazy. To be honest, I love Royal Dahl. I love him as he's an incredible children's book writer. He's made some incredible books, and don't get me wrong. I mean, I've not actually read Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, the book. I've not read the actual book, but I've heard that apparently the book is incredible compared to the films. Apparently, the original film is really close. It is close, but they changed a lot of it as well. That kind of changed the tempo of how it was supposed to be.
Yeah. What about the original film? Roald Dahl, I heard, really didn't like it. So, like after he died, I think filmmakers have tried their best to stay closer to his books, to the actual book story when they make it into a film.
Yeah.
Right? But one film he did love was the BFG, the original animated film.
That is amazing.
The Cosgrove Hall film. He really liked that.
Yeah, I also like James and the Giant Peach as well. I like the film they did for that.
Oh yeah, that's good.
That was incredibly clever for the time because it was a mixture of stop motion animation.
In 1996.
Yeah, I mean,
and live action as well at the same time.
Yeah, it was a stop motion with stop motion animation mixed with live action actors, and it was. Yeah, it hasn't really. It's not really. It don't look well. It looks great now still, but it doesn't look as good as compared to what we can do now. If that makes sense. The way technology's gone.
Yeah, I know.
But it's still.
I think that came out in 1996.
Yeah, it
is. Yeah. That came out, I think, in 1996.
Yeah.
I had it on video, and now I've got it on DVD. So.
I think I have got it somewhere. Yeah, I really need to sort out my DVDs and re-sort it all. Put all my Disney stuff together and put all my animation stuff together. All like animated films, put them all together so I know where they are. I know my live action stuff.
There's this one live action movie I remember going to see when I was about 6 with my mum. It wasn't a Disney film, but it's a film called The Adventures of Pinocchio. It was a live action film of Pinocchio. Do you remember that?
I remember that one.
Got like Martin Landau in it as Geppetto. I really like that.
Yeah, I remember that one.
You like that, Sam?
Oh yeah, good film. But I've got it. I've got the DVD somewhere. I know I have.
I have as well. Yeah. I liked how they how they had the whale, the sea monster, actually be an evil puppeteer turned into the monster.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like I said, for some reason, I mean, I've never been a fan of Mary Poppins. I've never liked that.
Are you looking forward to this Mary?
Nope. It just doesn't need to happen.
Mary Poppins Returns this Christmas.
It doesn't need to happen. It just doesn't need to be. It just makes no sense. You know, it's been so long since the first one, original, and then all of a sudden they make a sequel with an actress. Don't get me wrong, she's a good actress, and plus she played Tempest Shadow anyway, so I'm not going to diss her. But it's just for me, she's just doesn't look right for the role. That's just my opinion.
Well, the thing is, I mean, it's obvious that Mary Poppins she's obviously someone that doesn't age, because it's implied in the original film that the character Bert, at some point, she was his nanny when he was a kid. But you know, I'd say when I think of Mary Poppins, I think of Julie Andrews.
Well, that's her, isn't it?
What I'm aware of, I think though the plot for this film is it's actually Michael, who was one of the kids in the original film. It's his kids that she's coming to look after in this film. When I saw the trailer,
it's supposed to be.
It's him now as a grown.
Yeah, it's supposed to be the kids, the brother and sister. It's supposed to be kind of more thinking around those and their kids now. I think. Personally, I just don't see why. What's the point? You know, I'm like, I don't know. I mean, I'm not a fan of Mary Poppins, anyways, but there is a hell of a lot of people that are. But
it's making money. It's to make money and have more merchandise and stuff. It's the only purpose of it, really.
Well,
I mean,
yeah, but it is. It's just, you know, it's a film. You know, it's the film industry. They're only there to make money, but it's just. For me, I've never liked Mary Poppins ever since I first saw it because I just don't like the child actors. They infuriate me because of how posh they are, and they're over the top posh. It's like they put it on purpose, and it annoys me.
What about Nanny McPhee? Do you like Nanny McPhee?
I've never seen that, so I can't comment.
I've seen them. I think I've seen the first. My mom loved those films, and I think. My mum kind of made me sit down and watch them, and they are pretty much Mary Poppins, Nanny McPhee. It's pretty much the same concept, but they're not bad. But they're a very dulled down kid film, really. A bit too looked down for me. I don't like it when kids' films are really a bit too lovely, nicey. You know, kids need a bit of reality when it comes to their films, so they see that, you know, the world isn't just all smelling of roses, so to speak. You know, but I mean, I don't know. I mean,
I think that's where Harry Potter was, right? Because at least Harry Potter got darker, you know. Because as they went on, the Harry Potter films got darker because the books got darker.
I don't like the. Yeah, I mean, I don't like the Harry Potter films either. To be honest, I just don't like how it kind of went down. I mean, like all that bloody lead up to Voldemort. All that lead up to, you know, this big wizard fight between Harry and Voldemort, and literally in the book, it's like, in the book, it's literally just like one page and it's finished. And then in the film, they tried to stretch it out. Yeah, I respect they tried to add a bit more depth to the fight scene, but it's shit. It's a shit scene. It's literally just like Harry kind of somehow deflects his wand attack and kind of either flings it back at him or does a counter attack. I have no idea. I can't remember. I don't care. And then he somehow kind of does he melt? I don't know. It's just like.
Well, in the book,
he kind of dissolved.
Yeah, I mean, in the book, it's a straight out duel. It's just one spell each, and Harry effectively somehow managed to. The thing is, what actually makes zero sense, right, is technically it's what can only be described as a DX Machina moment in the book, because Voldemort uses the killing spell, which has no counter spell. There's no way to deflect it. It's, you know, the ultimate spell to kill somebody. Harry uses a stun spell, a bare bone basic stun spell. Somehow, his spell reflects the killing spell back at Voldemort and kills Voldemort, even though in book... in book
you know, when Neville cuts off the snake's head, because the...
No.
Yeah, they kill
that snake is Voldemort's last Horcrux.
Yeah, but what I'm about, Lawrence, is in book 4, they actually confirm that it's impossible to defend against the Akaveda killing curse. Yet Harry somehow manages to ultimately defend it. Yeah, they confirm there's no way to defend against it.
When he was a baby. Yeah, obviously Harry could, because he did it when he was a baby.
Well,
and
it wasn't actually him; it was his mum, because his mother's sacrifice kind of protected him.
Yeah.
Though,
yeah.
I mean, to be fair, I haven't actually read a Harry Potter book in years, and I haven't seen like the Fantastic Beast film or the new ones coming out. I haven't seen the first one of that. I don't feel interested in them anymore.
So you're not really a Harry Potter fan anymore then, Sam? Or?
Not really. I mean, I read the books, and I got caught up in the books, and I enjoyed the books. Don't get me wrong, but recently, in the last couple of years, I've kind of moved on. There's other books that I've read that I find much more appealing than Harry Potter.
Every book's more appealing than Harry Potter. I mean, that's going to be a very unpopular thing to say. To be honest, I've never been a fan of them. I mean, when it was really, really popular, I think I was bought the first 2 or 3 books, and I tried to read the first one, and like every other book that I've ever been bought or bought myself, I just end up not reading them in the end, and it just never captivated me as a kid. And I've never been a big fan of magic, even though I do like MLP, which is kind of ironic. But it's just kind of like it. But it's just, I've never been a big fan of the whole wizard thing. You know, I've never been a big fan of magic, wizardry, and I've never been a big fan of that stuff. I prefer either incredibly sickening, horrible, repulsive horror films and Disney films and anything with blood and gore and guts and bullets and bombs and things. I like films like that. And also, you know, but I don't like, I don't know why, it's never anything like Mary Poppins and Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. Even though, don't get me wrong, I love Roald Dahl. I've got nothing against him as an author and his books because they're fantastic. I've just never been a big fan of the films. I don't like the new ones that, you know, the new ones with Johnny Depp. Sorry?
You ever see the Witches film?
Yes.
One of the Roald Dahl, the film based on the Witches.
Yes, that's actually not too bad. I quite enjoyed it. It was weird, but I quite enjoyed it. Incredibly weird, but to be honest, there's quite a few books that I think they need to try and see if they can make a film out of. You know, but to be honest, I just like Matilda. They did a good job with Matilda. You know, they made that back in the 90s.
Yeah, Matilda's good.
That was as close as you could get to the book.
Yeah.
BFG, brilliant. I love both of them. I love the animated and love Spielberg's version as well. The live action. That is literally when I was watching. What
was good about the?
Sorry.
What was good about the animated film is it was primarily a British film, and I don't think it ever even got released in the States.
I think it did. Yeah, I think it did get released in the States, but I think it did better in Britain than it did outside. I think it was one of those films again. I'm not too sure if it did well at the cinema. I think it did better domestically. Because the books are known all over the world. Literally, they're known all over the world pretty much. Roald Dahl books, BFG, when they made the animated film, it did, I don't know if it was one of those initial things where originally it didn't do too as well, but it did really well afterwards when it came out on VHS and whatever. But I think Steven Spielberg did an incredible job with the live action, because when I watched it, I was like, I was just like, the BFG looks amazing. He looks pretty much like the character from the animated film. He also the story as well is incredibly close to the book. One thing I love about Spielberg is he's good at adapting books. He tries his damn to adapt the book as pretty much as if you're like reading the book, and it's pretty, because I don't think I haven't read the book for BFG, but I grew up with the animated film, and he tried to reference the stuff in the book as well as the actual original animated film. So there was a lot of scenes in it what was very familiar from the animated film with David Jason as the voice of BFG. So I mean, the only thing is I would love to if they brought back David Jason as the voice of BFG. Even though the guy that played the BFG was good, but I'd have preferred the original voice of BFG to come back. Just, give that a little bit of honour, because David Jason is a fantastic actor, and But don't get me wrong. I mean, I thought the guy that played him in the live action was good. He did a good job, but I'd have liked to have seen, David Jason back as him.
Are you guys going to go and see Goosebumps too?
No. See the first one. Don't want to see the second one. Try not to rant, but I see those films as an absolute insult to R.L. Stein's legacy. They've literally turned them into a bloody comedy, and it bloody infuriates me.
It does me. I mean, to be honest, I don't like that they've made it so that it's kind of like a curse, and all the different monsters and different things from all the books come to life, and I just don't like that concept. I would have liked it better if they would have done what they did originally with the kids, with Goosebumps, the TV show, where everything was kind of, it's either like a quick episode, or kind of like a full episode that was, or maybe like a 2-part or 3-part that was following a specific story. Personally, I would have really loved it if they would have either have picked out the best ones that are like popular with people, or try to see if they can come up with something where they could adapt each book individually. That would have been better.
Well, an individual adaptation.
I mean,
talking 32 films.
Exactly, it would have been a bit difficult to do, but I would have liked it if they would have at least maybe pick out the ones that are more popular, like like the doll one, the living doll one. I'd love to have seen a live action just him, because he's my favourite. That's my favourite story of
the Haunted Mask. I think the Haunted Mask was the first 2-parter of the actual show. It was the opening to the series, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I really like that one. I like the Haunted Mask, and I like A Night in Terror Tower. Night of the Living Dummy. Attack of the Mutant, which is the one where the comic comes to life. A Day at Horrorland. What's it? Monster Blood. I remember Monster Blood.
So it's a good one.
And then there's the Cuckoo Clock of Doom.
Yeah, I remember that one. I don't. You know what? It's been so long since I've watched the show, and I actually had some Goosebumps books when I was younger.
You know the whole show's on Netflix.
Yeah, I know.
I think they had. Do you remember, Sam? And because I can't remember, but a vivid imagination. Vividly, I can remember. When we was at C of E, primary school, for some reason, I just kind of got a recollection now. I remember, I think, reading some like Goosebumps books and things like that in the school library.
Yeah,
I'm pretty damn sure we had some. I think that's where I got, because I think I actually read some of the, kind of like looked at some of the books before the TV show aired. I think I read a couple of them when I was at school, at primary school, and then obviously the TV show came out, and then I started watching that. Even though some of the episodes were a bit boring, I don't think all the adaptations they did in an episode form were that good.
I think the best Goosebumps episodes were the multi-parters. The classic stories. A lot of the single episodes weren't so good.
No, because it's kind of, they're trying to rush a full into a single episode, and it doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
Every story, I think they should have tried to have gone with a 2-parter at least, because that way you can branch it out a bit more.
Yeah, I think the one episode that was good for me was the Cuckoo Clock of Doom.
I really liked. I forgot what they call it. Do you remember it was? I think it was a brother and sister that ended up kind of being it worked out that there was actually robots in the end. They thought they were really human.
Oh yeah, is that the one where they go
robot
on the movie?
creations that run them up?
Is that the one where they go on the movie set? Yeah, I listened to that book the other night actually. What was it?
I forgot the name.
Yeah, the one where they go on the movie studio tour.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know the one you mean. It's there was Say Cheese and Die. What was? Yeah, I know the one you're talking about. I'm trying to think. I've recently been listening to audiobooks of some of the Goosebumps Horrorland series, which are some sequel stories to the other ones.
Oh, yeah.
And in some of those stories, I think some of the characters from the different books come together. Like you get Carly, Beth, and Sabrina from The Haunted Mask, and then you get some of the Horrorland kids.
I didn't realise they did any more. Any more stories like that.
Yeah, what's R.L. Stein doing now?
He's dead.
I know he's still around.
No, he's dead.
He's been dead for a long time.
Yeah, he's been dead for quite a few
years.
Yeah. His daughter.
But he appeared in the movie.
No, it's Jack Black who plays him.
Yeah, Jack Black plays R.L.
Yeah, but the real R.L. Stein makes a cameo in it.
Nah, I'm sure.
Makes a cameo right at the end when he's
for quite a while.
I think he was still alive when the TV show came out. There, I think he died. I don't think he saw it out though, because it was on TV for quite a while.
Oh no, he's still alive.
Is he still alive?
Yeah, I thought he was dead. No,
yeah, he is. Yeah,
I thought he was dead.
No, the real R.L. Stein does make a cameo in the film. He's next to Jack Black in the school. He's next to him in the school right at the end of the film.
All right. I didn't realise that. I thought he was dead. I thought I think it was his daughter. I thought she kind of carried on for him.
Yeah, he's still alive. He's bloody
I thought, what's it? I know that some of...
How old is it?
75.
He's only 75?
Yeah.
Well, that's not too old.
Seriously, I thought the R.L. Stein.
I'm thinking about it wrong.
Like in the 60s or 70s. And then they kind of got brought out again.
No, they were the goose because basically there was the Goosebumps series. The very first Goosebumps was published in 1992. So the series goes, so you had Goosebumps that was first published in 92. Then you had the Goosebumps series 2000, which obviously started in 2000. Then you have Give Yourself Goosebumps, which was kind of a sequel series to the original Goosebumps series. You've got the Give Yourself Goosebumps special editions. You've then got the Fear Street series, which links into Goosebumps. Then you've got New Fear Street, which again is another Goosebumps spin-off. Fear Street Super Chiller is another series of Goosebumps spin-offs. So literally, it's massive. It's just absolutely huge. I mean, it's hundreds and hundreds of books. I mean, it estimates that he's sold over 400 million copies of his books.
Damn.
He's also a TV producer. Actually, he's been involved in a lot of TV stuff as well.
All right.
But yeah, so he's
for a lot of the time. No, I'm certain he wasn't dead. Well, he can't have been if he appears in the movie, which I know he certainly did. I thought that was odd. I mean, I read about him recently. I read about his on his Wikipedia page, and it didn't say he was dead there. 'Cause I remember reading particularly something about the Haunted Mask. Is that he actually got the idea for that story when his son put on a Halloween mask and he was struggling to get it off. I've been thinking about whether to try and write a Goosebumps fan fiction. Actually, I've been thinking about it for some time.
Okay. Oh.
Hello?
Always worth doing, mate. Oh, good. I got the cat.
Yeah.
Poor cat, honestly. She's probably like, oh, put me down, I was sleeping.
He's always bloody sleeping.
Have you got a cat there, Sam?
Nah, John.
Was that your cat, John?
I haven't got any cats, mate. My last cat died about a year ago.
Puss.
Oh. Have you met Lizzie's cat, Shadow, John?
No, not yet. Bloody cat.
Bloody, you just threw her, didn't you? You just threw her, you evil man.
I never threw her. She just jumped out of my hand and she freaking hit the door. Silly cat. Cat. Well, I don't know what you want to do, guys. Don't know if you want to call it a night tonight. It's just gone quite 16 minutes past midnight. Unless you want to do extra 15 minutes and call it a night at 1:30. It's up to you guys. I know we've not been on that long, but we've been on for nearly 2 hours.
Are you working tomorrow, Sam? Or?
I'm working, yeah.
Well, I'm at job centre tomorrow, so.
What time do you start?
Sorry.
Yeah, I must ring the job centre tomorrow because I've got a free day tomorrow, so I probably should ring up the job centre and let them know and see if I can go in and see him.
Yeah, I've got my appointment tomorrow with them, 11:20. So.
Well, I'll call it a night, lads.
Mm-hmm.
We finally managed to get.
All right, yeah, okay, then we'll call it a night.
Okay then. Well, it has been great to catch up with Lawrence and Sam. So thank you, anyone that has been watching or viewing as well, been going on. It's been an interesting conversation that went from prostitution to Venom to Goosebumps to stuff and stuff. It's one of those conversations. But anyway, so thank you to Lawrence and to Sam for their time, and thank you for joining us if you did while we was talking and yammering on about crap and stuff. But anyway, so I'll bid you farewell, people. Thank you, and see you all very soon.
Yeah, take care, everyone.
Okay, then, see you soon.
See you later.